I will admit you're going to have to do a lot to make me like Guinevere because I am not her biggest fan. Ever. Hi guys, it's April and I'm going to do this review the same way I do all of my other reviews. I'm going to have the non-spoiler section up front, followed by the spoiled filled dump afterwards, in case you don't want to spoil yourself, but of course you are welcome to watch as much as you want. I'm just excited that you're here. So I just recently read the Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White. This is an Arthurian retelling told in a YA style with a few changes to the story. We start out where we have our Guinevere marrying King Arthur, but who we assume is Guinevere is actually not Guinevere. She calls herself a changeling. Merlin has sent her on to help protect Arthur from magic as they're slowly trying to remove magic from Camelot. Of course, you have all of the characters from Arthurian lore. You have Lancelot, you have Mordred, you have the Dark Queen. Of course, all of the political intrigue that happens in the original Arthurian legend. Here we have Arthur, who is an 18-year-old boy, and our Guinevere as a 16-year-old girl. I've always liked Kiersten White's darker retelling. She did such a wonderful job with her And I Darken series. And you can see some of that playing into the retelling of this Arthurian legend. I've struggled a little bit with some of Kiersten White's other works where it's a little bit more peppy and almost innocent to a fault that I don't like. That's why I struggled with her version of Guinevere. Guinevere here is sent off to protect Arthur. So it's supposed that she has a lot of things to offer. But as you start to get to know this pretend Guinevere, you start to realize that she is way too innocent. And there's something really off about her. And I didn't really like her as a character for some of those issues because she is expected to be this savior. But she's usually the one who causes all the problems, and she doesn't know basic things. And I know that's probably playing into her bigger background, but I have such a bias against Guinevere even before going into this story that this didn't help at all. Now, I know I shouldn't be this biased against a fictional character, but in all of the Arthurian legends, and the retellings, Guinevere is a character that I dislike the most, which seems so odd. So the fact that I decided to pick up the series, which is completely centered around her, I don't know why I do these things to myself. But here we are. Kiersten White does a lot of things well, the way she tells the story, the darkness that she weaves in, and some of the twists that she adds to the legend is actually really nice because she adds a feminist slant to a few things, and she also has some LGBTQIA plus representations, which she has been doing in her works recently. It's nice to see those. And as much as I don't like the Guinevere character, the way she is taking this plot, the underlying story that she is starting to tell with Guinevere and Arthur, I'm a little intrigued, much as I don't want to be. And that's saying something. Now, do I find it weird that she kept Arthur as young as he is? Maybe it's so that we don't feel so squeaky about Guinevere being 16 and him being older. It's hard to look at Arthur and see the king behind all of the legends. I don't necessarily always like when retellings make Arthur extremely young because there is a lot of history, there is a lot of length to the Arthurian legend, and so he is, and he does end up a little on the older scale. It's not like he was 18 when he first married Guinevere, but that's fine. That's just me nitpicking the legends. This review is just going really, really weird right now. I got trapped in wanting to know what was happening next in this story. As much as I am not a huge fan of the Lancelot character and Guinevere, I am probably just too biased for Arthur and knowing things are going to happen because of these characters. That's why I struggle with retellings, because I know how it's... I do think Kiersten White did all of the interactions in the build-up fairly well, which I think is what kept me into this story. So if you do like reading retellings of the King Arthur legend, you will probably like this read. I am going to be reading the next book because I have it for review. I mean, I honestly probably wouldn't have picked up this book if I hadn't have received that book for review. Am I mad that I read it? Not exactly. I think it's doing some fairly interesting things. I'm interested to see what the next book brings. So take that for whatever you want it to mean. I'm a little conflicted. The storytelling is done great. The atmosphere is great. All of the buildup and story plot is great. Do I like some of the character choices? Not entirely, but I'm willing to see where it goes. So this is the point in which I start talking about spoilers. So if you want to read this book, go read, come back. I want to start a conversation. I would love to hear some thoughts from people who aren't as biased as I am, because I know that I have an issue, but I thought I'd plainly state my issues because you need to know where I'm coming from. But here starteth the spoilers. I mentioned a little bit about the naivety of Guinevere and me not entirely understanding why it was done when we're supposed to be building this character up to be the Queen of Camelot. Starting out believing that she's supposed to be the protector of Arthur, even though we later learn that it's actually Arthur who's supposed to protect her, which starts to make a little bit more sense. But who doesn't know about their periods? And who doesn't know about the fact that you lose your baby teeth and other teeth grow in? So there's some really off-putting things that I know are put in there for a reason. They're hinting at something about Guinevere's past, but it drives me nuts because there's just too much innocence there for her to be any kind of protector at all. Like none. I do find it interesting that White decided to make Lancelot female. I kind of like that twist. It might make things fairly interesting for Guinevere, knowing where the Arthurian legend goes with Lancelot and Guinevere, and if White is going to take that path or not, or if there's going to be some other twist thrown into all of that. But the whole thing with Lancelot and Guinevere is because Arthur is always gone so often. There's this whole quest for the Grail, and the fact that Guinevere is left by herself so much that the whole Lancelot and Guinevere and then the start of the fall of Camelot happens, which is why I really don't like those characters. You know, I am one of those people who hold a grudge, even if they're not real people. I'm one of those people who hold a grudge when it comes to those kind of infidelities. So it's going to be interesting to see if White can pull those biases out of me and make me actually okay with these characters. And honestly, besides some of the twist with the Guinevere character and the twist with the Lancelot character, this book is pretty easy to predict, especially if you know the Arthurian legend. But even if you're just paying attention, the fact that Guinevere misses all of these clues and makes assumptions that just seem so dumb, I don't, like I said, I'm just going to have to see where this next book goes. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down below if you have read this book. But otherwise, those are my thoughts. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe down below, hit that bell, get all of those notifications, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye. Can't find my mouse.